La Liga is yet again under the microscope for an alleged racist incident on the terraces, and Vinicius Jr. is yet again the target of it. Hello there everybody, Adam Cleary from FourFourTwo here, and if you still haven't seen the footage from yesterday's Valencia versus Real Madrid game, then, well, it just makes for some extremely depressing watching. Now obviously there's not a lot of context I can personally add to this, but I've already seen today a degree of firefighting and a degree of whataboutery from clubs, from players, from officials, from the league, from a lot of different people. So I thought it probably made sense to do a video where we lay out the exact timeline of that game, go through what happened, and then lay out the timeline of the season and show why this is something Vinicius Jr. has felt the need to say is commonplace now. So what really happened to Vinicius Jr. at the Mestalla yesterday? This. So the league title's already gone to Barcelona. Madrid don't really have anything to play for, you're probably aware of that, but Valencia are only 2 points above the relegation at the start of yesterday's game. They need some points on the board to avoid dropping into the second tier, so it's kind of a bit of a tense atmosphere. Valencia get a goal in the first half that will ultimately go on to get them the 3 points, and Vinicius Jr., as he so often is, pretty much every time he plays in La Liga, is the target of abuse from opposition fans. Now precisely what kind of abuse that is unclear when you're watching it on television, but it's very clear from his reaction to it all that he's finding it quite distressing. Now at one stage the situation gets so bad for him that he starts remonstrating with some of the supporters in the front row of the stands. He even points out a number of fans to the referee and alleges that they are racially abusing him. In the second half, the referee then stopped the game for around 6 minutes so an announcement could be made over the tannoy to the supporters by Valencia saying that any racist behaviour would not be tolerated by the club. This seemingly made no difference whatsoever. The fans continued to target their abuse at Vinicius, and at one stage he was even brought over to the dugout to talk to Ancelotti and the rest of the Madrid coaching staff about whether he wanted to continue in the game. Ancelotti basically offered to take him off because he didn't believe he should be subjecting himself to that, but Vinicius said, no, we're losing, they've got a game to play, I want to continue. The rest of the game is then played under this poisonous atmosphere, and with about 5 minutes to go in injury time, Real Madrid get a free kick that leads to a corner. Yunus Musa, attempting to run down the clock, does not want to give the ball back to Rudiger. There's the absolute bog standard little push and shove that goes on between the two, and Vinicius runs over to get involved with Musa. Now precisely what then gets said between the players we have no idea of, but Valencia goalkeeper Marmadishvili basically runs over and turns this little spat into an all-out brawl. In the ensuing melee, Vinicius then sort of like paws or strikes out at one of the Valencia players, catches him around the side of the head. VAR take a look at it, and he gets sent off. He remonstrates, quite understandably, points out that someone literally had their arms around his throat and nothing's been done about it, that the crowd have been saying and doing all of this, and on his way off the pitch, he gesticulates to the Valencia supporters basically that you're going into the second division, and then it all just kicks off again on the touchline. And this is where a lot of the whataboutery has sort of started with this, because we even had commentators on the game and journalists after the fact saying things to the effect of, well, it's horrible that he may have been the victim of racial abuse, but at the same time, should he not show more respect to the fans and should he not get involved in these arguments? One of the commentators even said, let's not pretend he's an angel in this situation. And just to make it perfectly clear, there is no but in this situation. It's not, well, it's terrible he's been racially abused, but should he not do this? You don't have to qualify that. You don't have to add context. I can remember Jurgen Klopp being absolutely baffled by a question that was sort of along these lines this season. Like, does he have to watch his own behaviour? Should he stop getting involved with these fans or involved with these other players? Is that maybe making the situation worse? And no, there's nothing you can say or do as a footballer that warrants that kind of reaction, that warrants that kind of abuse. After the game, Ancelotti refused to comment on the match itself, saying it was irrelevant to talk about the football given what had occurred. La Liga has a problem, he said. We need to stop this game. We need to stop any game. I would say the same thing if we were winning 3-0. I've never seen a whole stadium being racist. There is no but about Vinicius' reaction to it. And what follows next is probably the biggest part of all of this. Vinicius Jr.'s own Instagram post where he basically accuses Spanish football and Spain as a nation of being inherently racist. It wasn't the first time, nor the second, nor the third. Racism is normal in La Liga. In football, they think it's normal, the federation does too, and the opponents encourage it. I'm so sad. The championship that once belonged to Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Cristiano, and Messi today belongs to racism. Spain is a beautiful nation which welcomed me and which I love, but which agreed to export the image of a racist country to the world. And that's the thing, when he says it's not the first time nor the second or the third, he's not wrong. In October of last year, so literally just earlier on this season, Vinicius called for racist fans to be identified and banned from stadiums after he was again the recipient of abuse and monkey chants from opposition fans. There was videos of fans doing it before the game, the chants were audible on the TV broadcast themselves, and nothing happened. And then a few months later, before a Madrid derby, Atletico fans even hung a mannequin of Vinicius Jr. from a bridge in the city. Atletico as a club obviously condemned the incident. They called it repugnant, said it had no place in society whatsoever, said they hoped the league would do something about all of this, but again, nobody was punished. And the thing is, this has been a problem in Spain for as long as you would care to remember. Like, I'm old enough to recall Ashley Cole and Sean Wright-Phillips getting exactly the same treatment in the Bernabeu while playing for England. Now, in the aftermath of all of this, we've already had statements from fellow players, from ex-pros, from organisations, from pretty much everybody lending support to Vinicius Jr. FIFA President Gianni Infantino's even gone so far as to saying, look, we've got these procedures in place for stopping games if racism is occurring in the stands. And while it's easier said than done, he acknowledges they should have done that in this game, and La Liga should do that in future. And as a result, this does kind of feel like a bit of a watershed moment for La Liga and this kind of fan culture. Like a player going so far as to say the country has a problem, not just this club or these fans or individuals, does sort of feel like something that they can't go back from. It needs to be addressed now. Now, whether that's that they step up their efforts to identify individuals and ban them on a case-by-case basis, or whether the club as a whole has to face the punishment for allowing this to happen is, well, it's down to the governing bodies, it's down to the clubs, it's down to La Liga, it's down to Spain as a nation. But regardless, you feel that anything has to happen this time. But as to whether anything will happen, your guess is as good as mine at this stage, so let us know what you think in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to 442 on YouTube. In the meantime though, thank you so much for watching. I have been Adam Cleary, this has been, as I say, 442, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.